as I've been talking more about the agentic Kanban blueprint and just sharing it with people, there are a couple of things that are pretty stark to me now, which one, I don't think people are realizing that it's not specifically a product, not a thing that you plug and play to have a system that operates like mine. You can, but the product doesn't build itself. It's patterns and practices that you might find useful for your system. And if you don't have a system, then sure, plug it, play it. But it is not a product. It's a set of architectural patterns based on stuff that I've learned that is working in my system. Two, I am using agentic AI in a different way to what the vast majority people are. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. And I want to explain why, but I don't think people actually want to listen to why. I think you just maybe want to see something. So let me kick off some agent to agent activity. So one powerful thing here is I am not a technical person, believe it or not. Yes, I love geeking out on all of this stuff. I'm just not intelligent enough to be a nerd. Okay, so I've got some work. This is my system, and I've got one thing that's quite complicated. I've thrown in some information here. It's not refined. It doesn't actually meet our criteria for how work should be defined. I'm just making my problem statement pretty clear. And what I want to do is call a 3Amigos. But only 2 of my agents would pick this up. Just a limitation on the users. So while they're working, while I need to wait for them to actually receive the notification, I'm going to tell 3 other agents, might get hit by rate limits, tell 3 other agents that I need their attention. Right, so this 1573, is complicated because it's in a particular product where their journey is going into a website and signing up and then using an application, but there's also a mobile application to consider. And I've defined those so they have project agents in each of those domains, those spaces. There is a app development project agent, there is a mobile app development project agent for that space, and there is an agent for the website stuff. But what I also have across my system is an orchestrator, tech lead, or an architect, if you like, which is cross-cutting across all of the stuff that I'm doing, and a test specialist. I will probably create an additional test specialist that's specifically for that ecosystem. It's a bit early to do that yet, though. So I've got these 5 agents and me, and I need to, yeah, I've hit rate limit. I need to get input on this piece of work. Okay, so while they are working out how they can engage here, because I kicked off so many at the same point in time, and Business App is saying, whoa, looks like there's a load of bots trying to get in. And yeah. I thought I'd explain what good looks like to me. So the system that I operate is one where I'm spending much less time on the doing, on the now. I don't want to spend much time here in now. I want to spend my time in next, sure, making sure that what it is that we're going to do is refined and designed in the way that I actually want to see implemented. But even further upstream than that, I want to be spending my time making sure I'm making the right bets on the work that is the most potentially valuable to be doing in my system. And I want to be validating it afterwards. I want to validate the quality. I want to validate that it's doing what we'd said we were going to do up front. But more importantly, validate that the thing that we have produced is actually delivering the value that I'd assumed, so that I can then work upstream again in my process and make better bets. that isn't dissimilar from how we should be working in the real world, right? With normal teams. But to me, that working with agentic AI in a good system is spending less time on the doing work and more upstream and downstream. So let's see what's happening in this card. Yeah, so I called the 3Amigos. We've had the orchestrator. It looks like two of my agents are actually sharing the same orchestrator API key, which is unfortunate, but they've got this prefix. So this is the mobile agent, this is the web agent, this is the test specialist using the correct one. Orchestrator is using theirs as well. So I've got a couple of project agents that are accidentally using the wrong API key. That's not too much of a biggie um, because they're prefixing who they are. It's probably a bit busier than I can truly manage. The most I've effectively been using agents into this refinement of 3Amigos activity had been four, but I want to get those three different project agents specifically involved. This is where you end up with the problem with the human in the system. I am the one human in the system, and I cannot read and write as fast as my agents. Having a quick check to make sure that they're not asking me questions in the chat windows. But what I do see is like an echo of what they're doing here. So they show their reasoning in the chat sessions, but they're not printing their comments there. They're printing the comments in the here. I just see it as part of the reasoning. Wanted to make sure that this agent isn't getting too hung up on the fact that they're accidentally using the orchestrator API key because that's just a distraction. But you'll see is I've not actually inputted it. I've set the scene and I've called people to the table. Now I'm working out if I actually need to give any design opinions because they're talking about the how, and it's very hard for me to contribute to the how this needs to be implemented, and also I don't really care. I care that the outcome is achieved and achieved in a responsible way. And the differences in these perspectives are probably from a few lenses. The mobile agent is interested specifically in the mobile, couldn't give a crap about the web, but does need to pay attention to how that the account is going to be coming through. They're all running on the same model, but they do have different personas as well. And sometimes, and I don't know how this is going to go, but sometimes you see that come through in the way that the agents talk with each other. be able to see this in a video, to be honest with you. Yeah, and these are all technical challenges, not necessarily things I need to weigh in on. Yeah, there needs to be no constraint on the number of read-only users that can access the account. It's the site manager and or the coordinator that should be responsible for administering the links. Google OAuth is not important at this stage, although we do have social sign-in going live on the application. What I don't know if you can see, because my bots are kind of active on a screen over there, but we have the chat going on over here. I'm not actually paying too much attention over there. I just have a little glance just to see, are they actually asking anything or that I need to engage with there or not? But their instructions are clear. If we're not having the conversation in that window on this session, then we're hiding information from the group that needs to contribute. But also they know not to just comment nonsense just because they happen to be looking at it. We should only be adding value when we're talking through this stuff. The mechanism that this is working on. So I have a limited number of seats available. I've given one individual license. Well, I hold one. My orchestrator has its own license. The user account. The test specialist has their own user account, and that's specifically because even when I'm not calling people to the table, as the agents are working, they can tag those, and then there's a comment event that fires when one of those agents are identified in a work item, or there's a researcher as well. When they are tagged, there's a work item that gets created in the inbox, and the named users, they have a poll that's active, and depending on how varied the work is on the board, I'll change that poll anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, or more frequently if I'm letting agents just do stuff autonomously without me. Otherwise, I'll see it and I'll call people to the table. But that's been good enough for me. Whereas when we're in a refinement phase, it's a 3-minute cycle. And I had to set that specifically for the project agents because they don't pop for the inbox. It's just the named users, agentic users that do. unfortunately, they've been reading this at exactly the same time. So this one has not seen that comment, and they've reasoned the same level of information. Can I do this cleanly? While I think about it, a fairly clean solution is to make the code that's issued to the SM being single use, and that the SM issues their own code from within the app to their assistant. Again, single use. Anyway, this is probably going to get to the point of being boring for you because you don't actually care about the stuff that I'm doing here. But yeah, I thought people might find it interesting just seeing live the inter-agent conversation. Most of this I don't actually need to be involved with. You can see there's pages of content there. Wow, page and a half worth of content that I didn't even contribute to. But then specific questions being raised for me for direction. And this session won't close until I say 3Amigos is now complete. At which point, I will actually be starting up the process for one of these. I think this was the disaster recovery stuff is what I was going to do next. So that one's up at the top. We're going to shape that one after this. And because of my WIP limits, this is how I'm getting work ready to feed this cycle. So this one needs follow-up, and then I've added additional work. So that's gone down to being 40%. So that needs to be completed before these things that I'm shaping up now will come through. That gives us capacity to pull these items once they're ready to go into follow-up. That'll be me doing some validation. And then that gives us capacity to bring from the top of this list. So actually, I'm working I'm just eating my own dog food, basically, what I help teams do. I'm just doing that at a level up because I'm less interested in focusing on the work down here. That's what my agents do. Realize I stopped the recording a little bit too early, so I'll stitch this together. That's to say, well, what happens next? We're gonna carry on this conversation. The result of this will be some actions. Either I, or if I'm feeling lazy, I'll get an agent to update the description of this card, but that will still only focus on the problem. It won't state the how, and we'll create an Obsidian Vault item somewhere up in CapDev relating to the work that I'm doing. So we'll have a design documentation that will be here, and then one agent will do the work using the design documentation to help achieve this, and particularly focus on the done when criteria that will be updated. And that helps us with context and compaction. So this work will take some time, and the agent that's doing the work will probably go through a couple of rounds of compaction. And so I will I already have in place. I don't need to restate this. But once that agent goes through compaction, before the compaction, there'll be a snapshot that captures its latest history. It'll go through the compaction and be able to reference that snapshot right up until the next one when that snapshot will get replaced. But its immediate action following auto compaction is to reread the plan for this so that it prevents amnesia that we can face. But that stuff's all documented in the agentic Kanban blueprint, actually. It was useful.